All right, hello YouTube, Garrett Robinson here. Don't worry, this is not one of my normal vlogs. You're not getting a weird other thing today. Today we are doing a technical tutorial. I have a client who I have just edited and formatted an ebook for, an ebook and paperback actually, and they wanted to know how to actually publish it online. So I'm going to make 3 quick video tutorials today about how to publish a book in ebook and in print. So we'll have the first tutorial is how to publish to Kindle, and then the second tutorial will be how to publish to draft to digital, which is a platform where you can publish the book once and then you can send it out to all the big platforms, you know, Amazon, Kobo, Apple, Nook, and a couple of other platforms as well. And then we'll make a third tutorial on how to publish a print book via CreateSpace, which is Amazon's print company where you can put up a paperback, for example, and that's what we'll be doing today. Okay, so to start off on publishing to Kindle, you're going to want to go to kdp.amazon.com. This is where all direct publishing to Amazon happens, and you might need to create your own account if you don't already have one, but I, of course, have one, so I'm just going to sign in, and of course, creating an account is very easy. So here is what your bookshelf will look like. This is a list of all books that you have already published, if you've already published any. If you haven't published books, obviously they won't be here. But in order to create a new book, and perhaps the first entry in your bookshelf, you will click this yellow button right here, Add New Title, and that pulls up the book publishing window. So first you enter your book name here. In this case, it will just be My Great Book, and then a subtitle if you have one. Subtitles, obviously more common in nonfiction than in fiction, but here we'll just say, The Excellent First Novel by Debut Author Garrett Robinson. None of that is true. I'm not a debut author, it's not my first novel, and it's probably not excellent knowing me. Now, here's an important point. This book is part of a series. If your book is in a series, whether it's a fiction series or a nonfiction series, you want to click this book is part of a series, and then you put the series title, My Great Book Series, or whatever your title happens to be, and then volume. So just as an example of how you could apply this in a couple of different ways, I have serialized fantasy series, are my 2 big series, the Realm Keeper series and the Nightblade series, and those have episodes, and then they have volumes. So I have a series, I have 2 series for each one of those. For Nightblade, for example, I have the Nightblade episodes, and they have their own volume numbers, and then I have the Nightblade volumes, and those have their own volume numbers. So if somebody reads your episodes, Amazon will naturally refer them to the next episode in my series because the series is called the Nightblade episodes. But if somebody buys my complete books, then Amazon will naturally refer them to the next volume in the series because it's its own series with its own name. So you can create little differentiations there depending on how you have structured the writing of your series. Edition number, this is almost always going to be first unless you go ahead and do a second edition, but obviously if this is the first time that you're publishing it, you want to put first. And you don't put 1, you put first, 1ST, because that is how it will display on Amazon, first edition, like that. So if you just put 1, then it will say 1 edition, and you don't want that. The publisher is whatever you want. I have my own publishing imprint, Living Art Books. Description. Okay, so here is the description for your book. Now, obviously, there is a whole technology and a whole science and actually a little bit of an art to writing book descriptions that will hook your reader and make them interested in wanting to find out about your book and you know, sell it, actually. I am, not qualified to talk about that. I think my book descriptions are all right, but there are people who write much better book descriptions than I do. So you're going to need to learn how to write a book description, but I am going to give you a few tips on how to make your book description look awesome. So let's say we start out with a cheesy headline like "The excitement is matched only by the awesome." That's a terrible headline or title. You should not use something like that, but we're just using it for demonstration purposes here. And then you say, "In this excellent book reviewed favorably by Publishers Weekly, our heroine discovers she is at the center of a plot to take over the world." Now, you're probably going to want to have multiple paragraphs in your book description. Make sure that you do a double space in between paragraphs. Like, don't just enter and start typing the next paragraph here, because that will look terrible. You want an extra space, and then you say, "Pick up your copy now and be one of the first in the world to read it. Then let's say you want to have, for example, a quote from somebody who read the book and said something really awesome about it. So you say, one of the best books I've read, and then a dash and Joe Schmo. And then at the end, you'll have your little call to action at the end of your thing. Add it to your cart now. A nice little punchy, commanding them to go do something. Okay, so there's your description, right? Well, you can do a couple of things to make it look even better. First of all, if you do bracket H2 bracket and then bracket slash H2 bracket, that will then show up as big, bold, orange font on the page, which just looks great with the rest of Amazon's web design. I'll show you an example of that here. This is my actual Kindle edition of Nightblade, the book whose files we'll be using today. And right here in the book description, you can see, fight for your dream or they will take it from you. I did that little H2 trick and it makes the font look like that, big and bold and orange, and it's eye-catching and it matches in with the rest of the page's aesthetic. So now here we can add a subtitle if we want, and I forgot to do that, but let's add it in now. Pick up this debut novel. Okay, so then you're going to do bracket H3 bracket and then bracket slash H3 bracket. This is HTML coding. It's part of web design. If you're a web designer, this is all going to be super familiar to you. If not, then just kind of copy what I do and you'll get a look very much like that. And then if you want to add a little bit more spice, you can italicize this with bracket I bracket and then bracket slash I bracket, and those have to be inside. So make sure you copy this formatting very exactly. It's pretty important. Now for the main font of the description, you don't need to do anything. It'll look fine just by itself. Let's say you go into your quotes. You can see here I've got quotes that are stand out because they're bold and slightly larger than the main font. So again, here we'll do bracket H3 and then bracket H slash H3 at the end. And then for the end CTA, you can see here I just did the exact same thing as the first line in the description. And you do that by bracket H2 bracket slash H2 bracket. And that should be a very nice looking book description. Book contributors. Okay, so you put first name Garrett, last name Robinson, because that's me, and then the title is author. Now, you can add other contributors if it's edited by, for example, Joe Schmo, and he's the editor. You can do forward, illustrator, introduction, narrator, photographer, preface, translator. Most of the time, you're not going to want to worry about any of this. You should consult with your editor whether they want their name listed as the editor. For me, because I'm a freelance editor, but I'm also an author myself, I don't like to have myself listed as the editor on books that I have edited, because then my name shows up a whole bunch of times on Amazon as an editor and only a few times as an author. That's not good for me personally. If your person is a professional editor, they might want to be listed as the professional editor, because then they have, hundreds of books that they've edited all over Amazon. So that's up to you. You can add as many contributors as you want. And if you have co-written the book with somebody else, then you would add them and list them as another author, obviously. So that's saved, and then you're in there. You list the language of your book. In my case, it's going to be English. And then your ISBN. Now, the ISBN is completely optional. And in virtually every single case, I would recommend that you don't do it. Amazon will provide you with a free ISBN. You don't need to use an ISBN. The only advantage is that that same ISBN you can put it on other books on the same book published on other platforms, and then all of those sales will sort of congregate on the national bestseller list, and you might hit the New York Times bestseller list if you sell copies across all multiple different platforms. So if that's really a goal that you're going for, then fine, but it's not a goal that I am particularly going for at this stage in my career, and why bother with it? Why not just take the free ISBN? Because if you get to number one on Amazon's bestseller list and Nook's bestseller list and Kobo's bestseller list, you're going to be doing fine, even if all of those sales don't congregate onto the New York Times bestseller list. But, you know, if that's your game, then go get an ISBN from Bowker.com and put it in here. Verify your publishing rights. This is a public domain work. You don't generally want to do that. If you have written the book, it is not a public domain work. It is yours, and you click, this is not a public domain work, and I hold the necessary publishing rights. Public domain work is, well, there's a lot of different types of public domain work, and unfortunately, a lot of it is people who have taken books that are in the public domain, books that are really, really old or whatever, and they just sort of publish it under their own title, and there's a lot of strict guidelines. You're not going to need to worry about that. If you wrote the book, you click, this is not a public domain work, and I hold the necessary publishing rights. Target your book to customers. Add categories. Categories are very important. Categories, you can top the charts in certain categories, and then people who read that category are more likely to see and find your book. So you choose your categories. In this case, it'll be fiction, and I generally write fantasy, so we'll just go with that. Fiction, fantasy, epic, and you can choose up to 2 categories. So I will also go fiction, fantasy, dark fantasy. And those will be 2 of the categories assigned to my book, but not all of the categories, as we'll see in a moment. Age range you can select. I generally won't unless I'm writing a book that's specifically for kids or young adults, which my Realm Keeper series is. So I'll list the age range between 8 and 15 in that case. But for most people, if it's an adult book, like I wouldn't even list an age range, because just let it be what it is. If, however, you are writing erotica, you definitely want to list it as 18 plus to 18 plus. You do not want that book seen by anybody. You know, Amazon is, and other platforms as well, are very quick to pull books that accidentally find their ways into the hands of kids but are actually erotica books, and you don't want to be one of those people. US grade range, if you're writing a book that's like targeted at school kids, you can list the grade range if you want. It's got everything preschool through 12th grade, and then the maximum as well. And then we get to keywords. Keywords are very, very important. First of all, they help people find your book when they're searching it in the store, but also you can use keywords to get into different categories. So for example, the keyword coming of age, that is actually a category on Amazon, but you won't find it in their categories list. If you put it, however, in your keywords, that will enter you into that category. There's a whole bunch of different categories that you can only get into with keywords. You can also say put urban fantasy in here. Urban fantasy is a category you can select when you're picking your book's categories, but you can only choose 2 of them. So I chose epic and dark fantasy, but by putting urban fantasy in my keywords, I will now also have entered my book into urban fantasy. So you should do a lot of research on that, find out all the categories that you want to be in, list them in your keywords, and then anything else that you think would be good. For example, if you have placed a book in the top 100 fantasy books on Amazon, you could put top 100 fantasy, because that's a fairly common search term for people. So if somebody searches top 100 fantasy in Amazon's search engine, your book will be in that category. They still might not see it if you're not actually in the top 100 fantasy, but it's, it can be something that you enter. Select your book release option. I'm ready to release my book now, or make my book available for pre-order. Okay, so in this case, I'm ready to release my book now, but let's look at pre-order. For in case you're putting your book up for pre-order. You select a release date for your book, and you obviously have a minimum amount of time. Today is Friday, March 20th. I cannot make my book available for pre-order any earlier than March 24th, which is 4 days from now. They have a minimum 4-day requirement, which makes total sense, obviously. So we'll just select the 24th here, and there you go. Your book will go live on the 24th, and nobody will be able to read it before then, but people can buy it, and you get on pre-order lists and everything like that. So if you are doing pre-orders, which is a strategy that can work very, very well, listen to the Self-Publishing Podcast, and they'll tell you how to do stuff like that. When it's talking about pre-orders, it then down here says, this is either the final version of my book for release, or this is a draft manuscript and is not ready for release. They will let you upload a book for pre-order even when it's not done yet. I don't think that's wise for a publisher to do. Certainly, you should not do that. You should not make your book available for pre-order until it's done, because then you might screw it up and not get it done on time, and that would be bad. But I don't think Amazon should let people upload draft manuscripts. I think that they should only allow it once the final book is done. I don't know. That's just me. So you can either select draft manuscript and is not ready for release, or this is the final version of my book for release, and we'll do that in this case because our book is done. All right, upload or create a book cover. Browse for image. Now, obviously, this assumes that you already have your book cover done, designed professionally by a professional. A good professional book cover. Don't put up a crappy book cover. It's not good. Browse for image. When you browse for the image, for your book cover image, it'll ask you to save changes and continue. That just saves all the information so far. Make sure that everything is all good to go. Browse for image and find our book cover. You click Browse. On my desktop, I have created a folder called My Great Book, and there is My Great Cover. Isn't that a fantastic book cover? Doesn't that look beautiful and gorgeous? Doesn't that just make you want to go and buy the book? Well, you can. You can find that book on Amazon, and I would certainly not stop you from going and purchasing that book. I mean, my God, the author is an Amazon best-selling fantasy author. That's fantastic. Well done for him. Good job. You select your book cover image, and then you click OK. It uploads the book file, and then it uploads the book cover file, and now you upload your book file. When you're ready to upload your book file, they have these two options: enable digital rights management, do not enable digital rights management. My recommendation: do not enable digital rights management. It is a tool that Amazon provides that is intended to prevent piracy. It is supposed to stop people from being able to copy your book and distribute it, pirate it, put it up on, BitTorrent or anything else like that. It does not work. If somebody wants to pirate your book, this digital rights management is very easy to bypass. So you will not in any way be preventing piracy on your book if you do enable digital rights management. And if you do enable digital rights management, then if your reader buys your book and then wants to move it from their Kindle library onto their iPhone, or wants to make a copy and put it on their computer, or make a copy and put it on their iPad, so that they can always access it even if they don't have an internet connection, digital rights management will prevent them from doing that. So if you enable digital rights management, you will not be preventing piracy, which is the point. You won't be doing that, and you will inconvenience a large number of your readers who want to move the file that they purchased from you and paid for. You will stop them from moving that file around the way that they want to. So my recommendation, and what I always do not enable digital rights management. Very simple. You can enable it if you want to. Don't do it. And then we will browse for our book content file. So you click that browse button, and then you go mygreatbook.mobi. Mobi files are Kindle's proprietary format. It's how Kindle books are formatted. If you hire a professional formatter, or you know how to format an ebook yourself, you will format a Mobi file for Kindle. Amazon and Kindle are the only people that use the Mobi format. That's because they're the biggest fish in the pond, and they can use whatever format they want to. Everybody else uses the EPUB file, but if you're uploading to Amazon for Kindle, you're going to use a Mobi file. So you select the file, you click OK, and that book then uploads. You have to wait for it to upload before you can go on to the next step, so we'll sit here and wait. Okay, so once it's uploaded, it starts converting the book file to Kindle format. Obviously, the book file is already in Kindle format. They basically just kind of check the formatting and make sure everything's good. While it's converting, you can click Save and Continue, and you'll go to the next page. So now this is pricing and royalty and all of that sort of thing. So you have the option to use KDP pricing support, which is basically a report that will show you what similar books to yours are priced at. It evaluates your book's length, and it evaluates your type and your category and all of that other thing, and it gives you what other people are pricing their books at. And it looks sort of like this. So highest author earnings are pricing this book at $3.99 average across the thing, and then here is $2.99, a little bit lower, and $4.99, slightly lower than that. Obviously, this is very hard data to really take much stock in because it all depends on your strategy. Maybe you publish a 100,000 word book and it's worth pricing at $9.99 to you, and you can sell that to your customers and they'll buy it in the same numbers as if you price it at $3.99. Whatever pricing works for you, this can help you figure out maybe where you should price your book, but I wouldn't place too much stock in it. So we'll go back to rights and pricing. And it asks you to list the price and select your royalty. So the royalty option for this book, if you don't know Amazon's royalty structure, just Google it. We're going to select 70% royalty, obviously, and we're going to price this book at $4.99. It's a $5 book. Now, all of these little check marks here are automatically set to checked, and it determines the closest price in regional currencies. So for UK, the closest price is with currency conversion is 3.38. In the euro, it's 4.75, etc., etc., etc. So pricing and how to set your pricing and all of that is a big, pretty complicated topic that you should do all of your own research on. I would not just go into it willy-nilly. Here's how I do it. This is not correct for everybody. Many people recommend to do it other ways. Many people recommend to do it this way. There are differing opinions on how to do this. I uncheck everything, and I set 99-cent prices for everything. So once you uncheck it, it leaves the closest default in each box. So, for example, for the UK, $3.38. I'm going to bump that down to $2.99, so that people pay $2.99 for the book. That seems to make sense. 99-cent prices are obviously a major selling point. Everybody uses them. So I would rather not have my book be £3.48. That's just a weird price. People see that and they're like, huh? They see £2.99 and they understand it. On the euro, I'm going to actually bump it up, and it's going to be $4.99 because why wouldn't it be? The euro bounces right above and right below the dollar in terms of value, so I'm not gonna bump it down to $3.99. I'm going to have it be the same price in the euro as it is on the dollar. Then the Japanese yen, I'm going to take that down to 599 yen, and just find whatever closest 99-cent price you are comfortable with. This one's going to be $15.99. Now, Canadians, I have a lot of Canadian readers. I have a lot of Canadian friends. I just have a sweet spot in my heart. So instead of taking it to $5.99, which would be closer, I'm going to do it at $4.99. I mean, I'm going to lose a little bit of money on that, but I feel like it's better for my Canadian audience. Then for the Mexican currency, we'll go with $74.99. For the Australian dollar, we'll go to $5.99. Because the Australian currency isn't doing too well. And then for the Indian rupee, I think, we're going to go with 299 rupees. Now, the other prevailing school of thought is that you should just leave all of the boxes checked, because Amazon will constantly adjust your price and say, oh, now it's this, and it will adjust your price concordantly. However, in my opinion, that means that your prices always look bad. They always look like weird prices. You never have 99-cent pricing. You never have prices that will attract customers' eyes and that they are understand and are used to looking at. So I set my prices, and then every once in a while, I kind of go through my prices and make sure they all still make sense. So it will mean more work for you later on, but I think it leads to more book sales. There are, as I said, lots of differing opinions on that. Finally, down here at the bottom, we have a couple of little options here. Kindle Matchbook. Kindle Matchbook is a program whereby if somebody buys the print version of your book, they can get the ebook version at a discounted price. So we're going to be publishing this book in paperback, so we will enable Matchbook. So for example, if somebody buys the paperback of this book and they are going to charge, and the book costs them $10, $9.99, right? Let's say they want the ebook as well so that they can carry it on their phone and read it when they're not able to carry a book around. I like to give it to them for a discounted price. I actually like to give it to them for free. if somebody has gone and invested money in a physical copy of my product, why wouldn't I give them the electronic version for free? It just makes sense to me. So I select free. You can also do $0.99 or $1.99, depending on the price of your ebook. That discount can be, if you have a $9.99 ebook, for example, I think they'll let you do a matchbook price of $2.99. But there you go. I'm going to select free. One interesting thing about Matchbook, by the way, the ebook goes down to 99 cents, but it falls outside of Amazon's normal royalty structure. So you'll see here, I put the Matchbook price at 99 cents, and my royalty is 65 cents, not 35 cents as it would be if it were just a 99-cent ebook. But we'll go with free because that ties in with my business philosophy. Okay, so that is how you publish a book on Kindle. That hopefully should give you everything that you need to know. If I missed anything, or if you have any additional questions on how to publish to Kindle, leave them in the comments below this video. I will answer them as best as I can. If it's questions about something else like publishing to print or publishing to draft to digital, we're going to do that in other videos. So just hold your horses. We'll get to that in a second. If you have enjoyed this video and found it helpful, I hope you will do a couple of things. One, head over to the Sterling and Stone YouTube channel and check out my Nuts and Bolts video series. That has a lot more self-publishing tips that will help you get started, figure out your self-publishing career, and achieve success as a self-published author. That's the idea anyway. More videos on that will be coming out soon, so if you've been waiting for those, we're working on them. Don't worry about it. Second, right down there is my website, garrettbrobinson.com. There you can find links to all of my books, which I hope you'll consider checking out. Some people think they're quite good. Hundreds of reviews of them have said that they're all right. They're not bad. So that's where you can check that out, as well as my filmmaking, my YouTube videos, etc., etc., etc. It's all there at the website. And finally, I create every video on this YouTube channel for free, and you get to watch them for free. But if you want to give back a little bit and contribute, then it should be right up there on the right corner of the screen. There should be a little I button, and if you click on that, then you can either become a patron at patreon.com, which helps support my art, or you can give just a small one-time gift through the YouTube channel. Either one of those would be very appreciated. I enjoy creating YouTube videos for you guys, and that's how I get paid for it. So, thanks. All right, guys, I've been Garrett Robinson. I will see you in my next technical tutorial or on my daily vlog. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and I will see you later. Bye!